So the first thing going through is Web Engine. We made a few updates to the sitemap XML. It's basically just to abide by standards. One of our users reached out to us and asked to add last modification, which we have based upon the publish date. So now XML sitemap automatically outputs last modification, which is the XML sitemap. Which is the publish date. For Parsley, pretty big release on Parsley's side is something we're calling deep references. So basically, in the past, Parsley only allowed you to reference itself once inside. So when you use Parsley, you open it up with the double brackets, and then on the inside, you could use one set of single brackets to reference something. The change that was outputted, it allows you to do single brackets on the inside, then do another set of single brackets inside of that, and then another set of single brackets inside of that. This is pretty important for when you're dealing with relationships and content. If you're looping through something and you have a ZUID you need to relate to access another piece of content in the system, this is going to be very helpful. In the past, there's been workarounds for this by doing like double or triple each loops, which is kind of cumbersome and generally just a waste of code. So that's a nice big update. Along with that, there was a actual I was looking at the old one there. With that, there's actually a speed update too to Parsley. This is particularly for rendering. This is not the speed that actually delivers in the front end did not change. It's still going to be always as fast as it is. But actually for rendering when you're developing, there's a significant update. It's on average almost 40% faster. Some things, particularly if you look at this list in the actual blog article, we describe different styles of endpoints and renderings happen on Zesty, and you'll see that some of the renderings actually get a huge improvement, like 75% faster, 90% faster. But some, 2% or 7%. It's a little bit, but not probably something you would notice. But the specific types of endpoints are actually going to see a big speed increase. It just means development will go a little bit faster, which is always good. The ability to view versions was also added to Web Engine, and this can be seen when you're editing content. You'll now see the live URL up top is normal, and below it used to be the preview URL. Now it says preview links, and there's a current version and version 8. How you get the older versions is the version drop down on the right hand side. You drop that down, and then you can then get a different version link. The Instant Content API, there was a little update added to this, so it's only accessible if you pass a secret header auth token, and that auth token can be edited in settings. So if you're using Instant Content API and do not want that public, you can add this one setting to prevent other people from accessing it. On the content editing standpoint, this is a pretty large update. It's pretty passive in terms of the announcement. But internationalization of content, meaning you can have multiple versions of content in many different languages. All of this is taken care of by Web Engine. All you really have to do is add the language and write in a different language. There's documentation how you can activate this in zesty.org. The link is available right here in this blog post. So the Instance API, this is the API that powers each instance behind the scenes. Particularly big new endpoint is head tags, and the ability to add and remove control head tags on specific content pages for the whole content model. So every item that is created under that model can get a specific head tag, or you can go for the full website. This will allow you to do custom script tags, CSS tags, meta tags. You can do verification links. All sorts of things can happen. Again, there's documentation if you click here right on zesty.org. For CSS and JavaScript transpiling, this improved the transpiler error messages from the API. So in the legacy interface in the actual content manager, there is no real responses. You get like a quick blurb. But now when using the API, you will get transpiling error messages back if there's issues with the code that you're pushing. And an update to publishing through the API is it will now trigger rebuild of JavaScript and CSS upon that publishing event, as well as busting the cache. A couple new endpoints out there available is style sheets, scripts, head tags, the fields endpoint, which is going to be supported by the new Schema interface that is in production or being in development right now. It'll be released soon. and the publishing's endpoint. You can see full Instance API documentation from a link here, which will bring you to, it's like outputted through Postman. It's a nice set of documentations. This is more of the, I guess, direct REST API documentation here, whereas if you go to zesty.org, you'll see more detailed documentation on specific endpoints. So if we look at like the head tags on zesty.org, you'll see there's a little bit more description. It's just not a direct REST API documentation. It actually walks you through and explains specific things with examples. So coming up in the future, we have Content Schema that is currently being worked on. For some large instances, Content Schema is slow. It's a very legacy interface. The new interface is very snappy, quick, and there's going to be more options as well, and some new features involved in that, like adding a description to models. Other things coming down the pipeline, we have extensions, which is an interface to browse, build, and export extensions. So extensions is basically, it could be anything from quick installing settings, quick installing a content model, or themes and CSS and whatnot. So we're excited about that. That'll allow new sites to get up really, really quick, and new builds to get up really quick as well. So that's generally the July 5th update. One thing we did not mention here was the GraphQL support, and you can actually, we have REST endpoints available in Web Engine now that you can have your own GraphQL set up on the side. There's a video on YouTube for that. So that's a general update. Stay tuned for more stuff coming out. We're looking forward to the Content Schema build that's being worked on currently, and we'll keep you up to date. And happy 4th of July.